Andrade versus Benavidez, and this is my Ezra breakdown for that fight. You got Demetrius Andrade, who's finally going to get his chance. Over all these years, right? People wanting for him to get this shot at a name to prove that he is what they think he is, right? To prove that he is at that level. He is a skilled boxer, one of the guys that should be at the top of his game, beating all the big names. He's finally gonna get it. Now it's taking some time. Now there's a few reasons why it takes some time. Maybe people avoiding him, but also, bad career decisions. It's a combination of things that have led to this point, but he's finally gonna get his shot against Dave Benavidez, who Benavidez is the guy that people are saying is the next one up, right? The next great Mexican fighter, the guy with this crazy build, with crazy speed, with unrelenting style, and the guy that possibly is going to dethrone Canelo. And I think the winner of this fight will be the guy that's like Canelo's, maybe his last great foe, right, in his career, will be the winner of this fight. When you got Andrade, right, style-wise, he's a boxer, right? Style-wise, he's a guy that's looks to stay defensive, right? Not to get hit a lot, to make you pay for you make a mistake. But he's not, as far as like technically sound, he's not the most technically sound guy. I don't believe so. I think he does a lot of things that you probably wouldn't train a fighter to do, but he gets away with it. And maybe he's gotten away with it because he's fought guys at a certain level, right? And maybe when he gets to fight guys at a higher level, because the truth of it is he hasn't really faced guys at the level that he's fighting when Dave Benavidez. So he's gotten away with it with guys that are lesser. But we have to see how that goes. But the things he does is he's a southpaw. And he can't fight going forward. That eliminates his game. It's his back leg. He loses his back leg, so he loses his power. So this is the thing is where like he lands a lot of knockdowns early, right? And people want to know, well, why is he landing knockdowns early? And then as the fight goes on, it doesn't seem like he's as effective anymore, or he can't seem to finish the fight. Well, it's because he can't fight going forward. Right. So if you hurt a guy and he gets defensive and he backs up, and you can't fight going forward, and you can't find your shots because your back leg is just not it doesn't follow you. It doesn't allow him to get into his offense. Doesn't allow him to explode into shots. Well, then you're not effective, right? Most of his knockdowns come from backing up, right? Backing up, and he does something you shouldn't train someone to do, right? With natural talents allow him to do this. And he gets all the way over, right? He bends down, he gets all the way over here. So when you go over, he comes wide and catches you, right? He's very wide with his shots. Also allows him to get more power, right? Because he's coming from such a wide angle and he's getting all that room to counter you. And it's also an unorthodox shot. So if you're just in with him the first 2 rounds, you may not be used to seeing it. So guys will reach over, and then that shot comes back and drops him. He moves from here to here, right? So he comes here, that's where his counter's gonna come. It's always this counter. Now, if he comes this way, right, he comes uppercut, so he steps in, uppercut, and then he dips around, right? He looks to go under your shot and work your way around. Now, he can't really continue off his movement. It's not like some guys, like, they're moving around, they're touching you, moving, and it's like a continuation of movement. He doesn't have that. Because he gets off of balance, or because he puts too much weight one way, he has one move, works off of that move, then has to regroup, right? And then if he's boxing, he's here, and then he's looking to position himself for you to make a mistake. So he's very good moving backwards. Well, it's a good thing because Benavidez is going to push him backwards, right? So he's going to be able to do and fight in the way it's going to be best for him. Now, Benavidez, the guy, is going to come, and I think people, because of his style and because of his look and all these things, they kind of try to put him in a box for what his style is. I think people think he's more like a swarmer and all-out pressure brawler type guy, but he's not really. No, he's not. He actually has some boxing skills, and he fights really tall. He fights like a sniper on a roof, right? He's not going to get to your level. He's never going to try to be at your level. He's trying to stay high. So he comes in, and he's much more patient. Like, that's one thing is, Andrade always capitalizes on guys that are not patient early. He's able to drop them, gets him a lead, and also shakes a guy up, right? So then that guy has to get back in his game, allows Andrade to get a lead and build a lead and get comfortable in the fight. I don't think he's going to have that. He's not going to have that moment in this fight. Because Dave Benavidez is very patient. He's very patient when he starts off a fight. So he's here, he jabs, and he doesn't, when he jabs, he's not dropping, he's not lunging, he's just there because he's long and he has good power. And he's just there. And his feet, when people say, oh, he has terrible feet, I don't know if he has terrible feet. I think that maybe his legs don't look the most athletic, so you kind of put all these like things on him that maybe aren't necessarily true. He doesn't have fast feet. He doesn't have feet that adjust very quickly, right? So if you're going to get him in a spot where you're adjusting quickly, he's not going to be able to match that. But he does have feet that are constantly moving, right? To make up for the lost feet. So he's just constantly here. He's never settled into position. He's here, and that makes up for not having fast feet because I'm constantly getting ready for what you're doing. I'm constantly reacting to what you're doing, right? If you watch him, he's here, he steps, jab, right. And then when he does get it on you, he gets more squared. And that's a good thing to do when you're like an inside fighter and you have a lot of punches you could throw. It allows you to get more angle on it, more range on it, more speed on it, and more balance on it, right? So he gets you, if he gets you against the ropes, then he gets squared on you. In that squared position, he's very fast and very tight with. So it eliminates, I think a lot of people think like he's gonna jump in and go all wild and allow Andrade to get those counters off him. But that's not the way he fights. He's actually more of a boxer that starts off a fight. And then as he begins to break you down and you can't handle the pressure and the power, then he will get a little bit more aggressive. But it's not even an uneducated aggressiveness. It's actually very smart aggressiveness. Now, the one thing that he has a disadvantage at is he gets stuck, right? So if you're here and you're able to push him back, his automatic defense reflex is to get like this. And that's where Andrade's gonna have to get him in, right? Andrade's gonna have to go forward and then get him where make him adjust to where he gets, basically has to go in a defensive position and shell up because he's not gonna work off of that. And if he's not gonna work off that, Andrade can turn around him, get angles around him to make him pay, right? Get him here and then get it on the side of him, make him pay. Then you're gonna eventually, Andrade's gonna kind of wanna get momentum going forward, right? And keep him unbalanced like that. But that's not really Andrade's style. Not really Andrade's style, but it was something that he's gonna have to think about in this fight. If you look at the Luke Keeler fight, which is a lot lesser opponent than the Benavidez, but Luke Keeler, he was more aggressive in that fight. He did hold his ground more, and he was more pushing Keeler back. I do think that in this fight, he's gonna have to hold ground a little bit. I don't think he could just allow forward pressure of Benavidez, because I think that if you allow forward pressure of Benavidez and he stays tall, this isn't gonna work because he's never overshooting, allowing him to get over the shoulder where you could counter, right? So if you get here with Benavidez, he's just gonna stay tall above you. He's just aiming shots down. That's not gonna work. Another thing is that Andrade gets predictable, right? So that's why his effectiveness as far as knockouts and everything later in the fight goes down, because you start seeing, okay, every time he dips here, he's coming here. Every time he's going this way, is an uppercut. Every time he comes under here, sometimes he sits on the angle and comes with this. It gets predictable, his style. So when he comes here, what Moderijan did was when he dipped, he knew that, okay, after this right, he's gonna counter. So he came down with a jab, right? So he said, here, I'm gonna come down here because he's gonna come into that shot and he's gonna walk right into my jab. Now, with Benavidez, that could be very, very effective because he's so tall, because he has the leverage, and because he doesn't need to get too in to be dangerous for him. He could just jab straight down, right? I think that Andrade's gonna get stuck in a lot of positions if he continues to do repetitive motions like that. What is the way that Andrade could win this fight? I think he's gonna have to sit down on some shots. I really do. I think he's gonna have to set a tone that on the inside, if Benavidez gonna come forward, I'm gonna step in with you. I'm not gonna just back up. I'm not gonna allow you to have forward momentum on this fight. I'm gonna make you earn every time you step in. Also, Andrade has a habit of, like I said, he's more of a one move, set up one position, hit, and then hold or reset. I think on the inside, I don't think he could reset like that. I think on the inside, he's gonna have to work. And I think that if you look at the Plant fight, a lot of the problems were Plant was holding too much, right? And people were complaining about that. And it's really, depends on the ref and depends on the moment whether holding is going to be allowed or not. Now, Andrade, it would be best if they allowed him to hold, but they might not. He's a B side, Benavidez is the A side, and they might not allow him to hold in this fight. We have to see how that plays out. When he gets on the inside, he can't allow him holding and Benavidez working, right? He's going to have to hold and then set up a shot and then back out, hold, Don't let Benavidez get off on the inside. Don't let him look like he's roughing you up and then you're holding and surviving. Andrade's gonna have to fight a fight that I'm not sure he can, where it's like consistent movement, not getting off balance, and not allowing Benavidez to just kind of push him back. It's not a fight that I've seen him fight. It's a weight class that I'm just saying, as far as talent, I've not seen the separation from Andrade to guys that are B-level talents. I haven't seen it. He's better than them, I'll give you that. But he's not showing like he's outclassing them. Now, with Benavidez, who I think is a A-level talent, he would have to me, show a performance he hasn't shown yet. And he would have to do things that, moves that he hasn't really habits he has never shown to not do, right? He has not get over, lose himself in movement, stay consistent, punch on the inside, stay working on the inside, keeping yourself able to punch at all times, right? Push someone back, have effective offense going forward. He hasn't shown me any of those things. And I think that Benavidez is not going to give him any of the things that all the other guys give him. So I think Benavidez is going to box early, right? Look good doing it. It's going to be, at that point, you'll see that it's like more technical than people are imagining, right? And I think eventually he'll start seeing where the Andrade's going to keep putting himself in positions where he's going to get stuck, and he's going to put pressure on him, and he's going to land shots on him, and he's going to start roughing him up. And I think it'll look like Andrade is almost kind of like in survivor mode and trying to just hold off Benavidez from just really teeing off on him. And I think Benavidez is going to walk away with this one, wide decision. And I think that after this one, you're going to see that Benavidez, you're looking at him one way, you imagine him one way of his style, but you're going to see that there's a lot more to his game than what people are seeing. I'm picking Benavidez by unanimous decision in this fight. If there's a late stoppage, I picture it being late, but I think Andrade's going to be able to be tricky enough to survive this fight. This has been the Ezra Breakdown. Deuces.